Hi, and welcome back to Hedge Fund Manager. I am Karl-Mikael Syding. So this is my portfolio of listed holdings, of listed equities, stocks. My biggest holding is Leading Edge Materials, and apparently I have 38% of my listed holdings in this one company. My second largest is CanaGold, and third largest is Kaspi, this super app in Kazakhstan. The reason I have 38% of my equity in leading edge materials, which is another small junior miner, that is a mining company that has like three interesting assets, but they actually don't have any real workable permits, environmental permits, in order to get the stuff out of the ground, refine it, and sell it on the world market. Well, one of their assets, it's a coal mine, a graphite mine, very high quality graphite, natural graphite, which can be used for things like electrical vehicle batteries, for example, and something that that might be has to be included in order to show that you have at least 10% locally mined material in an electric vehicle battery. So that could prove valuable for leading edge materials. However, at the moment, the prices they get for the coal or the graphite is too low. So the mine is not in operation, even though they have a permit and they have the mining equipment. It is ready, but they are not mining. They don't have any cash flow. It is not operating at the moment. And their other two assets is an exploration in Bihor Sud in Transylvania, Romania. There they are looking for nickel, cobalt, also in other industrial metals like lead, zinc, silver, maybe even some gold, but silver, lead, zinc, nickel, and cobalt should be the main valuable metals that they get out of the ground once they have a permit and once they're up and running. And it might prove a bit difficult. It can take quite a few years before they actually get anything out of the ground. They are running this as a very low cost, lean operation. And it's kind of a difficult mine to work and do test drills in, since it's an old Russian uranium mine. There actually probably is a lot of uranium there as well. In any way, these are not the two assets that people are talking about when they're talking about leading edge materials, but rather their world-class find of rare earth elements, in particular heavy rare earth elements outside Gränna in the southern parts of Sweden, close to the large water reservoir Vättern. And Vättern has been the reason that it's taking so long to get an environmental permit to mine these HREEs, as they are called, heavy rare earth elements. Heavy rare earth elements are used in wind turbines, and electrical motors. What you can do with them is, for example, or in particular, you can make very strong permanent magnets. And that is what you need to use to make the most efficient and weight efficient possible wind turbines and electrical motors, for one. There are many other uses as well, but that is the most valuable one. So let's take a look at leading edge materials, and keep in mind it's a junior mine, so they don't have a permit. They are currently working hard to get some kind of a permit, but their first milestone is this spring. Maybe by the end of March or early April, they might be included as may get the designation as a critical raw material and a critical mine for actually all of Europe in terms of the find, and that could give them an easier and quicker path to getting an environmental permit. Another Swedish miner, LKAB, a huge and very long time producer of not least steel, they recently at least got the go ahead for exploring refining rare earth elements up in the very northern part of Sweden, and in the same area where Leading Edge Material is hoping to sometime in the future get to refine theirs as well, and only mine the dry material as a quarry, which should be easier to get a permit for, right there next to Vättern, the big lake that has been the reason for the delay in getting a permit. But should Leading Edge Material start to take these steps toward finally getting a permit, then they can get the designation a critical material, and then they should start applying for an environmental permit, and that could take 2 to maybe up to 2.5 years to get that permit. But let's say maybe 5 years into the future, you could actually start seeing some production, or at least offtake agreements, that is agreements to buy material once it's produced, and start constructing the mine and start getting material out of the ground within 2 years after that. So sometime between 4 and 7 years from now, I think that they should be able to start actually getting material out of the ground. Let's be a bit optimistic and say it's 5 years from now. The question is, could we expect a doubling in share price each year for those 5-6 years, which would take us to around 30 times today's stock price? Well, the stock price today is a little below 2 Swedish kronor per share. It's called LEMSE for short. So could we get from 2 to 64? Well, today it's at 187, but let's say we're aiming for a 50 to 60 kronor per share in price in 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Well, that would mean an immense record compared to now. But just recently, just this spring, it suddenly sprang to life from 0.7 kronor all the way up to 2.5 kronor. The reason for this sudden jumping price was that there is more talk about geopolitics in terms of raw rare earth materials. So maybe this is the starting point for a real revaluation of leading edge materials. But for that to manifest, you will have to see actual concrete news and in terms of regulations and permits, and taking big steps towards these real milestones. And unfortunately, I'm a bit skeptic as to how quickly this will happen. But if it were to happen, that they take certain steps within the coming 5 years, then let's look at the market cap. The market cap is less than, well, it's about $35 million. The market cap is about $35 million. And the value of the stuff they have in ground, it's at least $1 billion. And probably more, especially if you include the other assets that they have that also should be coming closer to some kind of a production and completion within 5, 6, 7 years. So there is reason to believe that they could increase by about 30x over 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Then of course there is dilution. They might need other financing, debt financing. The prices of rare earth elements might drop, but it might also actually increase by a lot, since the electrification of the world needs these minerals. So the reason I have leading edge materials as my biggest holding is twofold. One, I see tremendous potential. Let's call it a 30x potential in 7 years. But it has also to do with this doubling, tripling in just the last month